All right, so I've made my second house track, and this one I think is another banger. So I'm going to show you what it sounds like and how I made it as well. I'll walk you through the session. So let's dive into it. Okay, so here we are in the session, and so I'm gonna be maybe a little more detail oriented than I was the last time I did a song walkthrough. I was trying to make the other one like a little bit shorter and punchier, but I realized I kind of omitted a lot of details in it. So I'm gonna not really omit much detail. So this could end up being a longer video, but I know for me, I like seeing the details on how things are made. So just like the last video though, I'll play through each song section and then I'll walk you through each of the elements of it. So let's just take a listen.
Move your body now, get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how, shake your ass some more. Move your body now, get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how, shake your ass some more. Move your body now, get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how, shake your ass some more. Move your body now, get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how, shake your ass some more.
All right, so let's start with the intro here. So kind of similar to the last song, everything is running through. I love this trick. I have everything running through a low cut filter. So I have an instrument bus here, and basically all of my, basically anything that's not a vocal is going to be routed to, first it has like its own designated bus. Like I have my synths going to a synth bus, but then all of those, like these, the bass bus, that goes to the instrument, this goes to the instrument, everything's going to the instrument bus except the vocals. So essentially, I have the instrument bus running through a low cut filter. So I have a filter right here. And so in the intro, you can see that there's this low cut, so it's emitting a lot of those bass frequencies because kind of like in the last song, once the drop hits, it's going to automate and it's going to just get a lot boomier. So I really like this trick. I need to be careful maybe not to overuse it, but I do really think that the results that it does are quite good. So anyway, with that out of the way, let's start with some of the parts here. So I'm not going to get into the sub bass yet. So I have this choir here, and that sounds like this. And so that is running through Foundation's Emotive Choir, which, by the way, so this is a Kontakt instrument, and so this is made by Havocity. This is a free plugin, and it's like incredibly useful. I'm probably gonna make another video about like the Havocity Foundation series because it's arguably like some of the best sounding like free VSTs, and they're mostly like sampled instruments or like Emotive Choir. So that's what I have running through here. I just wanted something that maybe wasn't a string, so I used a choir. And then I have Kickstart, which gives it that ducking sound. So if we listen, you can hear it ducking, and if I turn it up, you'll hear it more. But I didn't want the pumping effect to be that crazy, so I just went and did 80, and I thought that sounded good. All right, so we have that. And you'll notice a lot of things are muted. All the stuff that's dark is muted. I was kind of like playing around with arrangement as I was going on, and I realized some of that stuff I didn't want. So it's mostly that and a clap is pretty much all is in the intro. So the clap that I'm using sounds like this. And so that is Oliver Operator. And so again, it's not going to sound like it normally does because it's running through a low cut filter. So I'll show you what it sounds like when we get to the drop a little bit later on. But then and then we have a sub bass. So the sub bass is Sublab, and that is low harmonics. That's just the stock setting for that. And I have a little bit of kickstart. So if you may not hear this that well if you have earphones, unless you have headphones on. But here's what that sounds like. So you can hear it also has that ducking, pumping effect. So that's done through Kickstart as well. And again, I don't usually like to crank it up to 100%. I like 80%. I think that's good. All right, so we have some of that going. And then finally, we have, at least for the first part, we have my vocals. And yeah, this is me.
Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how.
So I'll show you how I process my vocals because there's a lot going on here. Let's open that up. So without any effects, here's what it sounds like, which I'm almost like kind of embarrassed to play, but here it is.
Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how.
And then with the effects,
Shake your ass some more.
yeah. So I wanted like a deep tone, and I achieved that. So I'll show you what I did. So because I have a pretty big effects chain here. So the first thing that I did is I added a gate because I live in an apartment, so there's a lot of background noise. So I put a gate as the first thing to just block out any background noise, and I just adjust the threshold to where it blocks out that background noise. All right. Next thing is this is a plugin that I got recently, UAD Pultec. Pultec is just an equalizer, and so what I do is I set the frequency to 60, and then I attenuate basically what this does is a low cut filter. It cuts out the lows. So if I were to boost, it would increase the lower frequencies around 60. And if I were to attenuate and crank that up, it actually like lowers the frequencies around 60 hertz. So you can hear the difference if I have it on and off. So I'll just solo the gate and the Pultec.
Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how. Shake it.
So you can hear, again, if you have headphones on, that as I was bringing up the attenuation knob, that bass frequency was going down. And then the other thing that I do is I boost the high frequency at 10 hertz to give myself more clarity. So if I turn that, I'll turn that down and then bring it up so you hear the difference.
Add some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how.
So it adds just a really nice clarity to it that I really like. And so that's all I do there. And then from there, I add Fat Channel, which is a Studio One thing. But it's just a 2A compressor. You can use like a Waves 2A or UAD 2A, that's all I'm doing. And so with that, let's listen to that.
Move your body now. Get down on the floor.
So it's just a compressor. So I just increase the peak reduction until I'm getting around 7 dB of reduction here.
Doesn't matter how.
Just kind of like what I'm getting. And then I put the gain up after that to compensate. So theoretically, if I'm compressing by 7 decibels, I'm going to also like turn up the gain by 7 decibels so that there's no apparent volume difference. And so that's what I did there. And it just allows for the sound to be more kind of like in your face and less dynamic, which is a good thing as far as vocals go. Then I have just a de-esser because the S sounds can sound pretty harsh. So without that, it sounds like this.
Now, shake your ass some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor.
So you can hear like before the S sounds were pretty harsh. And then as I turned it on, those S sounds became a lot more subdued. But again, like if you turn it up too high, so basically you just turn the threshold up enough to where you're getting enough of that S reduction. But if you turn it up too high, then your S sounds start sounding like TH.
Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass.
Oh wait, it's turning down, sorry.
Some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor.
Yeah, if you turn it too much, then honestly it starts like altering the level, which is not good. So you just want to find that sweet spot.
Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more.
And even that's probably a little too much, so I'll take it there. All right, so that's the de-esser there. And then we have the thing that actually makes it, make it not sound like my voice, which is Little Altar Boy. So that is just a pitch informant shifter. So this is what that sounds like.
Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass.
And that's how we make it sound like not my voice, which is really what I wanted, because I wanted that sort of like deep, boomy voice which I don't really have. I mean, my voice can get kind of low. Like I was really pushing the envelope with how low that I was talking in those vocal samples, but I wanted it even lower. And so that's when I use this to get it really low. And that seemed to help out really nicely. And you can change the format to make it even lower. I'll play around with this so you can hear it.
Some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how.
Shake your ass some more.
Move your body now.
Get down on the floor.
Yeah, so it's a really neat plugin. Pretty cheap. It's by it's called Little Altar Boy by Sound Toys. And I wouldn't buy it at full price, but when it goes on sale, I would get it. And then I add another compressor, which is BX Opto. I want the sound to be really compressed, but if you use just one compressor, like the one that I had before, that 2A, then it doesn't, the results aren't quite as good. There's no other way for me to describe it. So I use another compressor that just does a little extra compression afterwards.
Or doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more.
And this one's just controlling any like real peaks in audio. You can see this one isn't compressing as much. It's just doing like 2 to 3 dB of decibel reduction. Nothing too crazy there. And I think from there, Humanoid 2 was something I was playing around with, but I didn't actually use it. So I'm not going to talk about that in this video because it's not something that I actually used. But I did use Fresh Air. So Fresh Air is a free plugin from Slate that allows you to add some extra like airiness to your vocal, just that extra high-end sheen. So this is what I added there. So this is what it sounds like with it on.
Move your body now. Get down on the floor.
Here's it off.
Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor.
You can just hear it adds that high-end sheen. And again, it's free. It's like a really great plugin. I like it. And then the last thing is Mixtool. Mixtool, I mean, the only thing Mixtool is just a gain plugin. Because I like to have a gain plugin because then I can automate my vocals if they happen to be too loud in a given part and I need to like automate them. Because if you automate the volume slider or the gain slider on your actual track here, then what happens is you can't manually adjust this knob later. So if I adjust it in Mixtool or any gain plugin, then if I automate this instead, I can still make manual adjustments to the volume slider. All right, so that's that. And then I'll go over the sends. Like I said, this is probably gonna be a longer video. Hopefully this is interesting though. So then I have it running through, these are sends, and usually on sends, I'll put things like delay and reverb. So I have it sending to Room Verb, which is Valhalla Vintage Verb. So you can hear what that sounds like.
Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor.
So usually for verbs, this is like the industry standard Valhalla Vintage Verb if you haven't heard of it. And so I just have that on on Studio One, it's called an effects track, which you can see right here. Right here. So I have it there. And so I put the decay at 2.25. The mix will always stay at 100. And then I boosted the low cut. I think it starts off here. I took it to about 670 because this basically like highlights what part of the frequency spectrum you want to actually be reverberating, and you don't want the low end to reverberate. That doesn't sound very good. So I just did this, and that works really well. I think that's the only thing I adjusted. Everything else is stock. Okay, and then the final thing that I have on the vocals is the delay. So the delay is a little more complicated to set up, but here's what it sounds like.
Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more.
And you can hear it really well in sections like this. So listen to this part.
Go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane.
Yeah, so you can, that part was automated. But yeah, that's what's going on. Well, let me tell you what's going on. I didn't even tell you what was going on. So I have a delay track. So basically that vocal has a send on it going to this delay effects track. And so I have analog delay, which is just a stock. I love the stock delay on Studio One. I think it is absolutely phenomenal. And so I have it running through that. Quarter note, 40% feedback, and I have a ping pong on some with a width of 87 so that I don't know if you kind of were paying attention, but it'll kind of bounce between left and right, which is what I want. I like that stereo effect. And then you add, this is where things get a little secret saucy. So what you want to do, if you just had the delay, it would sound like this.
K to be insane.
So it's just the dry vocal with no reverb, which is not what I want. I want there to be reverb on the delay. So I pop on some vintage verb after the delay. And for this, I do lower the mix to around 20 to 30%, but everything else is pretty much the same. So when I do that, you'll hear the difference.
K to be insane.
So you can hear there's reverb on the delay now. And then the last thing that I do, again, super secret weapon, is I'll put a compressor. And then this is sidechained to the vocals. So what does this mean? This means that as the vocal is on, the delay will be lowered. This is hard for me to explain. Basically, when the vocals are on, this delay effect is happening at a much reduced volume level, and then as the vocals cut out, the volume of the delay gets higher to fill in those empty spaces. You can kind of see what's going on when I play the vocal.
Shake your ass some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor.
So this yellow line is indicating when that delay is being compressed, and so it's being compressed as those vocals are cutting through. And then as the vocals stop, then that delay will increase in volume, which you can hear, again, like on the tail end of things like this.
Shake your ass some more.
So you can really hear it rise in volume, okay? So that's pretty much everything as far as the vocal track. So wow, that took up a lot of time. What else do we have? I did the clap, and then the kick comes in the second half of the intro. So that sounds like, well, let me play this because you've probably forgotten what this sounds like already.
Move your body now. Get down on the floor.
All right, so the kick is two kicks, which is this Travis Barker kick, which is kind of like adds a kind of punchier high-end kick, and then I have a boomy kick, which is here. And this will, let me move my marker here. There you go. Now you can hear what they actually sound like. Everything's running through the low-cut filter in the beginning. So we have the Travis Barker and that. And those two, since you have a higher element and a lower element, they pair really nicely and make things sound nice and punchy. And then, let me see if I put anything on those, on the kick. Where's the kick? Oh, over here. No, I don't. Okay, so those are just stock. And then I have this perk shot, which sounds like this, or this heartbeat sound. So not going to lie, I borrowed this immensely heavily from a David Guetta track because I just liked the way that it sounded. And so I essentially used the same heartbeat sound but changed the rhythm of it to make it at least somewhat my own. So this is what the heartbeat sound is. It's just, oops, it's just literally like a heartbeat sounds that I found on Splice. And so with the kick, it sounds like this. So that sounds pretty cool. And then the hats come in as well. And so these, I have two hats, I think. Yes. No, wait, where are my hats? Here are my hats. Okay, so I have this wide hat and this what I'll call semi-open hat. And this is just doing the traditional house, like chat sound. Wasn't that a good emulation? You know, pretty standard in house stuff. And then I finally have the clock tick sound, very Zed sounding thing, which is just a sample on Splice. But I wanted it to have some stereo effect, so I added some analog delay. Pretty similar to how I set it up before. Quarter on the other track, quarter note delay, 15%, ping pong on some, but I made the width 100%, so it just bounces back and forth all the way. And I think the final thing that I have, oh, now I got a few other things. Told you, this is going to be a long video, but hopefully helpful. I have a choir ARP, which sounds like this, which I very much like the sound of. That is, I just have a this is just an F minor 7 chord going on. I guess I could have just looked here. Studio One has that. And then that's running through, again, Foundations, Emotive Choir. I'm telling you, this is an amazing free plugin. So this is their choir, and this is just one of their presets for like arpeggio. And so I thought that sounded good, so I went with it. And there's some little effects here, which I'll go over. There's a lot of effects in this song.
Shake your ass some more. Move your body now.
All right, so that's just a little swoosh effect. No effects there. Or no insert effects, I mean. So swooshes are really good for just short little transitions.
Shake your ass some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor.
And then near the end, I have two things going on. I have a sweep, a noise sweep. And then I have a riser, which is a more of a synth riser. So I like having multiple risers because it just adds to more of the dramatic effect. And so with both of those engaged, it sounds like this.
More. Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some.
There we go. And then finally, I just do a 1 measure dropout before the drop. And then I just have the snare right here, which is an Oliver snare, just going into the drop, which we'll listen to right now. Let's go.
Some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more.
All right, so this is the first part of the drop. So this is where, if you notice, the low cut filter, which I have here, will open up so that the low frequencies are allowed back in again. So if we just play that part.
Doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more. Move your body now.
And again, if you're listening with headphones, it'll sound a lot more diabolical. All right, so we have that, and let's go over the drop. So it's the same. A lot of this, the more I go through, the less I'll have to explain, because this is the same. It's the same sub, which just sounds like this. Now, the reason I chose this note is just literally I just thought it paired well with how the bass drum sounded. That's it. There's no magic. I just sort of played around with which note I thought sounded the best with the kick drum, and it was that. So I stuck with it. And vocals are the same. The heartbeat sound is the same. Hats, also the same. Yeah, everything is the same except... Yeah, everything's the same. So that's easy. Okay? I did omit the clap because I'll kind of talk philosophically. But if I included the clap here, then there's really nothing to build to in the drop. And even though the drop is like the climax, there should still be some building block elements so that it's not just the same thing over and over again. So I omit the clap in the first part.
Move your body now, get down on the floor. Doesn't matter.
And then in the second half, I include the clap.
Move your body now, get down on
And then there's actually two claps. So the two claps are the OSTD object clap, which is like a high-end brittle clap, and then an operator clap, which is Oliver operator, which is more of like a deeper clap. So I really like the way that sounds together. Yeah, very good. And then one other sneaky trick is I have transient master. So what this does, this is on the snare track, or clap track rather. And so what this does, it's a little hard to explain. It kind of like adjusts like how, well, I mean, it kind of says it. It adjusts the attack and the sustain, but it's more easier explained if I just audibly show you. So let me play it with it not engaged. So it sounds like this. So basically what it does, I have the sustain reduced by 66%. So basically whatever the tail of the waveform is, it's kind of cutting off that tail so it doesn't ring out as long. And so it makes for a lot more like punchy and snappier clap sound, which I feel like is often present in house music like this. So that's what I have there. And then I have the EQ. Why do I have the EQ? My guess is I probably automated at some point. Oh yeah, I automated it because in the intro, I took out some of the high end, which you can hear there. Yeah, so that's another way to kind of build suspense is you have not only some of the low end taken out, but you can also take out some of the high end so that when you get to the drop, the whole frequency spectrum is revealed, which is quite nice. So yeah, there's that. And then one other little thing is I added an actual open hi-hat, which you can't hear, and now you can. So aside from the, what I'll say, semi-closed hi-hat, I'm now including this actual open hi-hat. And so it just adds for a little more intensity in the second half of the drop. So that sounds like this, whereas before it sounded like this. So there we go. And then I think for this, oh, let's go over these effects. So let's listen to those.
Doesn't matter how, shake your ass some more. Move your body.
All right, so with this, there's three things going on. So there's this medium sweep here. Sounds like this. So very reverby. Let me show you how much reverb. So this is 8.31 seconds of reverb. Shit ton of reverb. But I wanted it because it doesn't sound good if it just cuts off. So if I took this off, it sounds like this. Well, that's a little abrupt. That doesn't sound very good. But if I have this incredibly long reverb with a mix of 55%, it flows into the next section so much better. So I have that, and then I have the sweep here. That one I did not have the reverb because I just didn't feel like I needed it. But what it does have is kickstart. So again, I wanted that ducking sound. And this I want it to be more aggressive, so I put it at 90%. So you can hear that here. You can hear that duck. And then the last thing, which I definitely stole from David Guetta again. In fact, a lot of the song is borrowed heavily from one of his songs, but, you know, that's okay, is this sound here. So it's like this, I call it like this like inhale effect. And so it's just like a deeper noise effect. But it really is this longer sample of this. But what I did is I just kind of took some chunk out of the middle of it and I repeated it. So it sounds like this. And then I added some kickstart to it. So without the kickstart, it just sounds like this. That doesn't sound very good, but with kickstart, it sounds like that. So with all three together, it sounds really cool when it goes into the next part.
Get down on the floor, doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more. Move your body now. Get down on the floor, doesn't matter how. Shake your ass some more.
All right, and then once we get to the very end here, we get a little interesting. This is just a standard sweep here. I think it's the same reverb sweep. Yep, same reverb sweep as before. But then it goes into a dropout right here. And then we have this interesting effect here.
Shake your ass some more.
So this is a vocoder. So this is, I basically just took the vocal track and then I duplicated it. And then I have this MIDI running. And this is Humanoid, which I love, from Baby Audio. And so it basically allows me to allow this to, how do I word this? Let me see if I can explain this well. Basically, I can put it in MIDI mode. And so I can create my own chord. I can create a chord here. So this is an F minor 7. And so it's going to use this vocal part here, which is the shake your ass some more, but it's going to play it through the vocoder, which sounds like that. Yeah, I probably did not explain that very well. But basically you can put Baby Audio, the Humanoid, in MIDI mode, and so you set your one of these outputs to yeah. So you have the Humanoid track. Now I'm getting it. It was a while ago I did this, so I kind of forgot how it worked. But you put the vocoder, aka Humanoid, on the actual track that has the vocal, and then you create a MIDI track that has the chord you want to play, and then you route the input from Humanoid. So basically, this MIDI track is taking the input, or is taking this sound and then running it through this chord, and then it's creating that vocoder sound. Hopefully that makes sense. And so yeah, then we have the second part of the drop here.
Ask some more. Shake your ass some more. Shake your ass some more. Stop waiting for that moment to arrive. You're the only one who can choose to be alive. Feel the music pulse right down into your veins. Go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane.
All right, so this is the second part of the drop. So I wanted to switch it up a bit because, you know, drops typically in-house are really long. But if you just, again, do the same thing for all 32 measures, it's going to be really stale. So I was like, okay, something needs to change. So I decided to add this very interesting wobble bass here. And so this is just a preset that I found on Splice. This is Serum. And I just found, trying to see if I can get the full name here. And I can't seem to, so you'll have to do with that. But it just sounds like this. Really cool sounding. But anyway, it's on Splice. A lot of times I'm not a sound designer, so I don't know what half of this shit does. So I just go on Splice and find great presets, and then I mess with them. So this has that wobble sound, changing in frequency. And so I just added that. I just put 2 notes. I put F. That's it. Sounds lovely. I love it. And it already has a shit ton of reverb on it, so I didn't even need to do anything. It's a perfect preset. And let's see, I don't know why this EQ's on there, but it is. I must automate this at some point, but I don't know where. And then I have Distressor. Distressor is like a really intense compressor. You can see like some of the ratios are absolutely batshit. So I just use this to make the sound more even throughout, because without it, it sounds like this. And then with it, so basically it makes the output more even, which in this kind of equates to the reverb sounding more intense in this example. So I like Distressor. Shout out to UAD, but only get it on sale. Okay, so then let's listen to this again, and then I'll walk you through anything else that's new. I just have some claves. I love claves. So I put some claves here. This is just a Leno clave. Leno percussion clave. So I just have, I wanted some vocal doubler so that, this is kind of an odd thing to put, but without it, it sounds like this. And then with it, well, now that I'm listening to it, it doesn't sound like it's making a huge difference. But my theory was that if I put vocal doubler on it, it separates it into kind of more of a stereo image. And so that's why I put that on there. And then I send it to that same room verb as before, so that to give it some verb. And I like the way that sounds. And I just kind of put it on the offbeat, da-da-da, which sounds quite nice.
Shake it, shake it.
And then for the vocals, I just spliced them up to...
Shake it, shake it. Shake your ass some more. Shake your ass some more.
So that's really all I did there. Now, I will say, like, and I alluded to this before, but one of the things that I do is I will adjust. This is how you do delay throws, okay? Secret sauce. I know I've said that a lot in this video, but a lot of this is like stuff that I wish I knew before. So basically what I have is I am automating the send level of the delay, okay? So you can see here, before, look, watch this.
Some more.
All right, so that's pretty cool. So basically at the end of the measure, I turn up the send level of the delay so that you can hear it more when this space is happening.
Shake your ass some more.
Because if I didn't have that, it sounds like this.
Shake your ass some more.
Kind of sounds okay, but I like it a lot better with.
Shake your ass some more.
Okay, so that's that. And anything else? Let's listen. One thing about doing these chops here is trying to find like the right place to splice it up. Because if you did this a little bit earlier, you have that more of the sh sound. If I were to like duplicate this, let's listen to what this sounds like. I don't like that as much, where you hear as much of the sh sound. I much like it, so I kind of like altered it so that it's more of the vowel sound. I like that better, but you know, that's probably more personal preference more than anything, not something that you have to do. And then this is another little secret technique that I learned from Dylan Francis. So this is just like a huge snare reverb at 40%. This is on the insert, not the send. And this I probably could stand to do that. But this is, I think, the same Oliver snare, but what I did was automate the panning of it. So you can see that here. And so it's just a cool little transition piece into the next piece of the drop. All right, here is where I was like, okay, something needs to change again, because again, in my mindset, something needs to change like every 8 measures, otherwise things will get stale. or at least like every 8 to 16 measures. So I was like, okay, well, let me change up the vocals. So I did that here, and I think it leads really well into the breakdown, which we will listen to, because I don't think there's anything else new. Yeah, there's nothing else new happening in the drop.
To arrive, you're the only one who can choose to be alive. Feel the music pulse right down into your veins. Go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane. Go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane. Go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane. Go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane. Go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane.
All right, so now we get the breakdown. I love this part because this is like, overall, like this song doesn't have a lot of melodic elements, like really at all. And so I wanted a breakdown where it's like, okay, let's introduce a little bit more melody now. And so what I did is I used our good old Foundations plugin. I swear I'm not sponsored. Like, I mean, even if I was, it's a free plugin. Who cares? But I started using Nylon Guitar, which sounds like this. Sounds really cool. How cool is that? I mean, that's just a preset, bro. Like, this is just a nylon guitar and it has this weird, like, rhythmic pattern to it. I love it. And then I have a pad, which is this. I don't know where this came from, but it sounds like this. I mean, how cool. I mean, this sounds cool. I mean, I'm sorry. I love it. So this one in particular is running, don't know why I have that. I must automate the gain at some point. And then I have it pulsing using Kickstart, as I've shown you before. This, I wanted the ducking effect to be as maximal as possible, just because I thought it sounded cool. So it's running at 100%. And then I'm switching between two chords. So I have a F minor 7 here. And then a minor 7 sus4 is what this would be. So basically you take the third, which is this A flat, and then you just move it up to the next note in the scale, which would be A sharp or G flat. Which would it be? I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're the same note. So you just move it up to the next note, to A sharp. So that sounds like this. Just a very, like, I don't know, emotional sounding rhythm, or chord rather. And then there's one other thing going on here, which is this choir arp. My thought is this is also probably going to be Foundations. Let's see what it is. Oh, of course it is. I think I had just downloaded this, and so I was really trying to mess around with it a lot. And so that sounds like this. Oh, well, that's the same ARP as the intro that I showed you, so that's why that is there. And so all three of those sound really nice. And then that other choir sound from the intro is also added in. And I forgot to mention this, but I just have like a little stepwise progression going to F. So this is just 16th notes leading up to F, since this song is in F minor. That's all that is. So I like to have callbacks where you have some familiar instruments that haven't been heard in a while and you bring them back. So that's what I did here. And this is a little different too. This effect's going into the breakdown. So that sounds like this. So this, I felt like I put a lot of reverb on this. This is that same sweep that I put a lot of reverb on, but I felt like just that reverb tail wasn't enough. So what I did is I added this impact. And so what I did is I merged them together, and basically with that verb, it just has more of an impact sound. So here's with it without this part. Kind of falls off a little too quick, but if I add that, kind of has more of like a crash effect, which I like. And what else? We have the clap going. That's the same clap from the intro.
Go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane.
And then I took the last vocal from the drop, the go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane, because I'm like, well, that's a pretty cool thing to just kind of repeat throughout the breakdown. So that's what I did there.
Go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane.
And then we get into this. I wanted to add, again, some more melodic elements here. So I just have this piece here. And so I have this first pluck here. I think this might be a stock sound. I don't know. Or a stock preset from Serum. Pike Dyke. Or Dyke Pike. Or Dick Pick. I don't know. So there's that. Just playing these notes here. I didn't want it to be too complex, just something to add some melodic elements. And then I have a deeper pluck here, which sounds, it's the same notes. Using that preset, BP Ting. By the way, I don't modify these presets at all because I'm not a sound designer, so it's just got to sound good out of the gate. And there's no effects on either of these. And then the final one, which I have coming in a little bit later, is this here. Magic River. So all together, it sounds like this. And then I have a little bit of panning so that they don't occupy the same stereo field. So I have the deeper pluck to the left, this thing going, the Magic River to the right, and then the main pluck dead center. So that works out really well. This is the same clock tick as before. And we have the same effects from before that we've heard. And the only thing that's different is this snare build, which you can hear right here. There we go. And then it leads into some silence and then the final drop. So here's what that sounds like.
Go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane. Move your body now, get down on the floor.
And then the final drop has a little transition into it. I did the same swoosh that we've heard before. And then there's this like crash sound, impact crash effect that I really like. And yeah, I really like that. So together it sounds like this. Love that. All right. And let's see if there's anything else. No, I think this sounds pretty much the same. So let's listen to it from here, and then I'll let you know if there's anything different in the last drop.
Go a little crazy, it's okay to be insane. Move your body now, get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how, shake your ass some more. Move your body now, get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how, shake your ass some more. Move your body now, get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how, shake your ass some more. Move your body now, get down on the floor. Doesn't matter how, shake your ass some more. Shake your ass some more. Shake your
just realized that in the very final part, those hats weren't supposed to be there, so I got rid of those. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I end the song just with the sub and the bass to make it easier for DJs to transition out of, including myself. And that's about it, I think. The only other thing that I want to go over mixing-wise, and this is almost an hour long, so I'll try to make this quick, just some mixing things, especially when it comes to bass and kick, is that, you know, when we're talking about the sub bass and the kick, which is right here, those two things could clash a lot if it didn't have the following thing on it. So for the kick, I have, on the sub rather, I have this thing called track spacer on this. This is a very interesting thing. So it's a side chain, or it's a, how the hell do I explain this? It's like a dynamic EQ attenuator. Let me show you what it does. All right, so what this is I have this effect on the sub bass and it's being sidechained to the kick. So what's happening is, look at the graph up here, the line up here. Those are the frequencies that the kick are currently occupying. So what this does is, by turning up this ratio knob here, whatever frequencies those kicks are occupying, or really whatever you're sidechaining this to, it's going to duck the frequency of the sub in accordance to how high those peaks are. So look at it. So you can see it kind of arcs up here, so it creates an almost equal and opposite arc under here. And so that's how much it's ducking the sub, so that it almost is creating a pulsing effect. So it almost works like a sidechain compressor, but whereas a sidechain compressor will just reduce the gain based on the presence of whatever sidechain you're putting on it, this looks at the frequency and it will duck only certain frequencies, which I think is a lot better, and it preserves the overall sound of the sub bass, and it basically allows it to fit in the mix better and not sound like a muddy mess. And so what's neat is you can adjust this part too, and so because this is a sub bass, I don't really care about all this shit. I can remove the high cut or turn on the high cut so that I'm only affecting 200 hertz and below, just some bass stuff. And so that is sort of a secret weapon to get the bass and the kick to meld really well together. I'm not going to get into mastering. I'll do that in another video. This is almost an hour long. I just want to show you what the song sounded like, show you how I made it. And so hopefully you got something out of this. Maybe you'll learn something. But I'm open to learning things too. So if you watch this and you're like, wow, he did that in a really weird way, here's a better way of doing it. Or if you have suggestions on how the song could have been better, then let me know. House is a new genre for me, and I'm not super familiar with like all of the dynamics of it, but I'm learning all as I go. I'm learning by remaking other songs to figure out what they do, and then I'm sort of implementing those into my songs. And I feel like that's a really good way to learn. But if you have techniques that are helpful to know, or even, I don't know, just any comments about this song, how I made it, would love to hear it. But I think that's all I have for this video, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.